I'm Dr. Ashley Hughes. I'm a veterinarian at the Friendship Hospital for Animals in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to talk to you about some common health problems that can arise with your dogs and cats. A diagnosis of cancer in any loved one is always heartbreaking, and our pets are no exception. When discussing the possibility of cancer in one of my patients, I will often hear owners say, "I didn't know dogs could get cancer." Unfortunately, they can, and it happens all too often. 1 in 4 dogs over the age of 2 will be diagnosed with some type of cancer. Now that you know it's possible for your beloved pet to be afflicted with cancer, what can you do about it? It is impossible to prevent cancer from occurring, but you can take steps to catch any abnormalities as soon as possible. You should check your dog or cat frequently for any new lumps or bumps that might appear. If you come across something, make a note of its size and texture so that you can discuss it with your veterinarian at your next visit. Each new discovery doesn't necessarily require a trip to the vet, but any masses that are growing, changing quickly, developing an ulcerated area, or draining should be checked out as soon as possible. To evaluate a mass within or under the skin, your vet can perform what's called a fine needle aspirate. This quick and fairly painless test consists of sticking a needle into the mass to obtain a few cells that can then be evaluated under a microscope. More often than not, the mass will be a harmless lesion called a lipoma. This benign mass, consisting of fat cells, should not cause any problems for your pet. Even though most skin masses are lipomas, each and every one should be checked out via fine needle aspirate to make sure a more aggressive type of skin cancer is not present. It is impossible to diagnose a lipoma by the way it feels. Catching skin masses early when they are small ensures the best chance for surgical removal and a cure. Once the mass is removed, it will be submitted for a pathologist to look at and determine what type of cancer it is and if it was completely excised. We worry that if any of the cancer cells were left behind, then the mass could come back or spread to other organs in a process called metastasis. Cancer in animals is not limited to the skin, and in fact, any tissue in the body can develop abnormal cells. Unfortunately, testing for cancers of internal organs is usually more complicated than a quick aspirate. We usually will have no idea something is wrong until a patient develops clinical signs, which can vary greatly. Anything from vomiting, diarrhea, lethargy, decreased appetite, to neurologic abnormalities or collapse. Routine blood work and x-rays are a good place to start and can give us very valuable information. But even if these tests are completely normal, it does not rule out cancer as a possibility. In order to obtain a diagnosis, further testing with ultrasound, surgical biopsy, or MRI is often necessary. Another frequent feeling my clients express is that they would not pursue chemotherapy as a treatment option. I completely understand why people feel this way, but it is important to clarify that treatment with chemotherapy in animals is much different than it is in people. When treating cancer in people, the goal is to completely eradicate all of the cancer cells. This results in blasting patients with drugs that make them extremely sick. This is not our goal with cancer treatment in animals. We aim to eliminate the majority of the cancer cells, which will prolong life, but ultimately not result in a cure. By using this approach, we can reduce the dose of chemotherapy drug in order to decrease the likelihood of causing side effects. Unlike in human medicine, we do everything we can to avoid making our patients sick. We strive to prolong life, but at a high quality of life. What many people are not aware of is the concept of comparative oncology. Companion animals are an excellent source for learning more about cancer in people. They are exposed to many of the same environmental risks as we are, and since cancer in pets occurs in years as opposed to decades with people, we can gain information much more quickly. By studying the behavior of cancers in dogs and their response to treatment, we learn valuable information about cancer in people. This information is not obtained through traditional animal testing, as these studies are done in animals that have naturally occurring cancers. If you are interested in learning more about comparative oncology, I encourage you to visit the Morris Animal Foundation's Canine Cancer Campaign or the 2 Million Dogs websites. Thank you for listening, and all of the information that we talked about can be found at www.friendshiptales.com. If you'd like to send me an email, you can at ahughes@friendshiphospital.com. Thank you.